What's up, guys? This is Jacob from Dude Let's Chat, back at it again with my co-worker Jeremiah for another special episode of Dude's Lunch Chatting. And in case you're wondering, we had Subway today. How was the Subway?
It was delicious. Oh, man. How are y'all doing today?
It was a pretty good lunch, so we figured we'd record. We had a special request. People want us to do League of Legends Arcane. And so I had my homework. I watched it all. Someone who has known of League of Legends, has never played it, has no ties to the community whatsoever except some friends playing it. But Jeremiah, you're on the other spectrum, aren't you?
Oh, I used to play that game a lot, going up through pubs, ranking, all that stuff. It's always fun. That's a joke, everyone. Just like, I'm gonna let you know the joke right now. It can be. It is a great game. And I guess that's really the talk of the duality that comes from it is the game worth it after the
right. I mean, when this game came out, I was in college. That's how old I am. And I had a lot of college friends trying to get me to play it. I never really cared for it. Of course, Jeremiah, throughout our friendships, has brought it on off and on, and I've always loved the lore of it. And so, watching the animated show, which, by the way, was very well done, I will say. Maybe, I respect the story. Now, I guess we're going to kind of touch this up in two different parts. We'll talk about how we felt about the show, and then I guess if it's worth playing it. I guess I'll leave it to you. What would you like to go over first?
So I think that's the best way to start it is let's talk about the show, which is a phenomenal show. I think that we both have that initial thing. Hey, great thing. If you should watch it if you haven't had a chance to. If you're into fantasy lore, if you're into video games being made into these things, and even if you're not, if you're just looking for something that's entertaining with an in-depth story, Arcane is the one for you. And maybe just talking about what we liked, disliked about it, especially like if we have a favorite character or a character you weren't so happy about, but and then but then get into we tried not to talk about this. I don't want to influence him, he didn't want to influence me. We were like, okay, let's just not talk about it. So we're both eager to jump into that. But then the other part of it is that justification after watching that to go play the game? Should you? There's a duality in the community as to if you like, a lot of the reviews are, if you liked Arcane, don't go play the game, and that ticks off some of my friends, some hardcore players. You just have this duality, like I said, and it's like, I'd like to know Jacob's thoughts on it because he knows of the community. We've had several discussions about toxic communities within gaming, and we've brought it up before. But let's just get right into it with Arcane.
So let's get into the show. Now, I'll go first. Someone who knows very little of League of Legends, I would say, as a show, it was amazing. For someone who knew very little, I was able to watch the show start to finish and understand kind of what's going on. Now, I know there was a lot of things that went over my head that someone who knows more about the lore, knows more about the game, might have seen, be like, oh yeah, that makes sense, or yeah, they did that right, or they did that wrong. I can tell that there was hints at Easter eggs, but I just didn't know what they were. But overall, my impressions on the show was, I'll give it about an 8.5 out of 10.
Okay.
Possibly a 9. Like, the graphics were great, storyline was great, voice acting was great. I didn't really have any issues, I guess. I guess I will say there were some gaps that weren't filled that kind of left me wondering, but I guess that might be a season 2 thing, or that might be where, my naiveness for the for the game comes into play. But other than that, it was great. I'll talk about the character Slayer. What's your first impression?
Of course, first impression, I'm going to say 10 out of 10. I'm gonna call it out right now. Execution of it, for how big it got, and for how much people love it, both on the side of people who don't play the game or aren't even gamers, to the people who have played this game or know of this game. We have a great just overall review of this show. I have seen very little people have had issues with. And I will say that the reason why it gets the 10 is this show is now the bar, and this, you can quote me anytime, the bar for CGI and 3D animations when it comes to any animations out there. Right? And Tencent, I mean, come on.
Pixar, man. Step up your game.
They need to. I'm just saying, like, from the fight scenes to the intimate scenes to any time they had to interact with characters or objects, I guess the sync up of the voice with the movements and stuff like that is very well animated. Nothing seemed too overly done or underdone. Like, oh, hey, she just exclaimed, but she didn't throw her hands up. No, everything was very well done. And I can't get over the fact of fight scenes, because if you watch things like the newest releases of Berserk, anything with CG in anime, when they try to do that 3D animation, it gets pretty bad, and they have been working on it. But then we get this from Riot, who's never made that. They've only made trailers for their little game that don't usually look like this good. I mean, they look good. They have different art styles, but this right here, to me, is perfect. I think it was great.
I mean, one would say you think they have a lot of money.
I mean, you would think that Disney and Pixar have a lot of money too. I mean, I'm just saying.
Fair point.
I mean, so they have it too, but sometimes things just go kind of over. They don't work. My thing is, like, this was done to a very intricate degree that I agree with. So yeah, I think it's 10 for 10. I think
So someone who knows nothing about League of Legends, worth a watch?
Of course.
I would agree to that.
Yeah.
So now, this part, we want to talk about what we liked and disliked. This is your chance for those who haven't seen it. Spoiler alert.
Mm-hmm.
So if you haven't watched it, go watch it and then come back and finish listening. The person I despise the most, I'm just going to get right into it. The person I despised the most was Jinx. I freaking hated Jinx. Like, the reason being, I feel this. Okay, I'll give Jinx this. She's the reason that the season was, because if she would not have effed up so many times, there would be no story. Everybody would have been happily ever after, quote, quote. I mean, they would be still in the slums, but people would still be alive.
You'd still be poor, but,
You'll be poor, but you'll be alive. So my biggest issue was Jinx, her Harley Quinn wannabe self. I love the design, don't get me wrong, but God, were they pushing that Harley Quinn and Joker vibe, and that's supposed to be her dad? I mean, there's some awkward.
So that's not, and I will say from a gamer's perspective for that, Silco wasn't even a part of that, / Vander and stuff, all that stuff was definitely added into the lore. The only thing that was heavily implied and now confirmed is that Vi and Jinx are sisters, but and of course, confirmed some of that, but that's just how it is. Actually, taking this time to go back and look at a lot of things they put into different trailers and stuff like that, like not realizing that she was a part of the Echo trailer when he first got released, and that was years ago before all this. And people need to go see that. The monument that echoes it and his thing. Go look at that. That's Powder. That is Jinx. It's like, no way. But anyway, but I would say that I can understand, because one, you're a comic book person, you do like Batman and the Joker and Harley Quinn, not for their whole that's the perfect love story, because it's not.
It's not.
But that aesthetic, and this is a blatant ripoff of it. Tencent they made Jinx that was supposed to jump on the Harley Quinn hype train.
I mean, I'm even gonna say this. That kind of gave off stepdad, stepdaughter awkward vibes, if you know what I'm talking about.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't see the resemblance personally, because Jinx isn't a doctor. So, I mean, obviously that can't be Harley Quinn. I don't know what you're saying. And that's what Tinson's going to say. We're going to ride that to the bank. You know, like,
I'm just saying, all I'm saying
there's
is...
no bat running around beating her.
All I'm saying is Silco's relationship with Jinx, the father figure, but then Jinx all over his lap as an adult, not a kid. Kind of, I feel like someone was playing off their fantasy right there.
I mean, she is a very broken child, even as an adult, and you saw that all the way up to the end.
True.
But, and I will tell you, I have a bias with that because she's one of my mains. I love ADC, the role of attack damage carry, as that would be. But ADC, go bot lane. You know, get yourself a support or whatever you really want there nowadays. Bot lane switches up so much. But, Jinx has always been one of my favorites, even when she's not in the top, you know, when she's not meta. I loved her aesthetic. I loved when she was first released. So this story to me is really great to bring her out. I'll actually say that by comparison, I actually didn't like Vi, and I want to just say this: okay. I don't hate any character in this.
I do,
but okay. Well, hatred, you need to work on that.
Yeah.
I mean, these aren't even real people.
There's some demons inside me.
Yeah.
Got it. Cool.
See, I don't hate anybody they introduce. Honestly, they're all great. But if there was someone who's like, you saying it's all Jinx's fault, no, it's all Vi's fault. She knew what she was supposed to do from start to finish. She unnecessarily withheld the truth in every scenario, in my opinion, in that show. From Vander, from Powder, from her team, from Caitlyn. Like, if she would have just been open and upfront with what she was wanting to do and what needed to happen, nobody would have died, would have even been in that situation. And it just frustrated me.
The truth, would the truth be that, you know, Jinx sucks and should have stayed home the entire time?
So the truth would have been that Powder at the time, yes. Yeah. Actually, the truth would have been Powder is not ready to, and Vi just had this just absolute need to have her sister on every run because it's sisters and they stick together. Except for the fact that they were all supposed to be brothers and sisters. Vander even points out, like, you are the leader. These are your family. You got to take care of them. Apparently, she only cares about the blue hair, you know? So
I would agree with that. I'm not going to disagree with that. Mm-hmm. If Vi would have just been like, hey, no, yes, you are a Jinx. Yes, you do suck. This isn't your time to shine, kid.
You don't have to call her a Jinx, but just say, hey,
you're too young.
No, yeah, like, you can even be as funny as like, hey, kind of messing up, aren't you? Like, you know, we spent a lot of time stealing all that. Why would you throw it in the river?
So the thing was with Vi, I feel like she saw her sister, who apparently has issues. Mm-hmm. She's hard on herself, you know, going through some trauma, and Vi wants to be the big sister / hero for her sister. So I can understand why Vi did it. Do I agree with it? No, because, and this is where I feel it's Jinx. Like, it's Vi. I'm not going to say Vi isn't part of the problem. But my thing is, if she wouldn't have screwed up the mission at the very beginning, they would have gone away free.
Yeah.
If she wouldn't have tried to show people that she's not a terrible, not terrible person, but like that she can do and help out, people would still be alive. And then as an adult, to still want that approval and go like past your limits, knowing darn well you're not right in the head, and screw more things up. Like, to me, it's just like, oh my gosh, dude.
I mean, to say that you know you're not right in the head, that's not fair.
She knew she was. She even said it herself.
I mean, adult Jinx?
Yeah, adult. Not Powder.
I was kind of like I thought we were talking about, you know, the ending of the epilogue, the
like okay. I'll say this. I'll say this. As kids, yeah, it's mostly Vi's fault.
Mm-hmm.
She cuddled Powder. Powder was still in the wrong and still, you know, should have listened and stayed home. But Vi shouldn't have tried to, you know, make her out to something she wasn't. As an adult, Jinx was just idiotic.
Jinx was going through a lot of post-traumatic stress. She just killed her family. I mean, you can really see that. I mean, you could really, and then she was abandoned by her
Yeah.
sister, and so she latched on to the first person that would take her in. Silco did coddle her, as all bad parents do, and
Which I will say that setup was very well done. With her just attaching, like, even though she knew this guy was a bad guy.
but he was showing her that affirmation, hey, you're good.
Exactly.
But he was doing the same thing Vi was doing as a kid. Sending her on mission that she has no business being on because she's ruining them. Yeah. And he's backing her, and he's willing to throw away a whole... But I loved his development. We can spend a whole session talking about Silco's development. I personally love it. He's one of my favorites. He's not my favorite, but even towards the end, how it ends with him, it's like, that's great. That's a great transformation for a villain / I can't believe this, and I'm willing to... So my thing is, go watch it. Go see, like, these people. My thing is, Vi doesn't get it for 2 reasons. One, it's not... Okay, so yes, Powder messed up at the beginning. Who brought her on the mission? Because she could have stayed home. And to be fair, was it Milo, the skinny guy?
Yeah.
He even said, I told you not to bring... She continually messes up our missions. This is before this big one.
Yeah.
Someone made the executive decision, and it was the executive in charge. 1.
Yeah.
2, Vi must be an idiot. No, actually, the whole group, but Vi specifically. So you just, you're down there punching your little machine, and while Milo and Powder are doing the gun thing, you watch your sister literally stare at Milo and get headshots on everything there. And what's your first response next time you talk to her about your little pep talk? You should really focus on those machines that keep messing up. This woman literally took off the head of everything. No one's been able to beat her on that machine. She's the best marksman you got. Hey, you should be up close and personal with little gadgets. Like, someone does not know.
So we're not going to go over your strengths right now.
Obviously, we understand why in the competitive scene, top lane usually doesn't lead the team. Because that was just like, well, obviously punching and gadgets do it, so we should just be doing that. But she had this potential of someone who just was an expert marksman. Like, that's her strength, but you don't recognize that. All you know is, I gotta protect her from the group and their hatred, and hey, you're just fine, you're doing just good. And then you turn her away on the most important mission to go rescue your father? Like, you can't come. Why not? I can't tell you. But you can't come. I love you too much. Like, she knows you feel she's a failure, and she's out to prove you wrong now because you never told her she was a failure.
I like how you put that first part with her shooting all the marks.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay. Apparently my sister needs a pick-me-up. And she's really good at this, and no one's making mention that she's real good. Giving her this compliment will really boost her spirits. Hey, kid, you suck at making gadgets work on it.
Yeah, like, so my thing is, I blame Vi, but even as an adult, she could have been open with Caitlyn, but she didn't tell her jinx with her sister.
I mean, that was both of them, though. They were both keeping secrets.
They both were keeping secrets.
That's politics right there.
But and I understand that whole, but she wouldn't trust her. But then at one point, there has to be less secrets. But it just seemed like more stuff kept coming out of the woodworks with her the entire time. I was like, why? If you were just open with people. But no. And it's just frustrating. So that's why Vi frustrated. Now, mind you, I still love the character. She also is one of my favorite characters to play. Not one of my mains, but and her lore was great. I love how she is pretty much the deputy, and she is dope. And you'll learn that in the lores later. They'll probably touch on that since Arcane seems to be over Piltover and Zon. And I don't hate Vi. I'm saying she is a main reason. And that got it a little annoying, mind you. Fight scenes with Vi, amazing. I guess a small little thing we'll pull in there. What's your favorite fight scene? Just real quick. We don't have to go into detail. But.
Okay, so my favorite fight scene, this is going to go with, the second part of characters. Goes with my favorite character, Echo. Ooh. I liked Echo and Powder's fight. Mostly because I liked when he popped Powder Jinx on the head.
Yeah.
I got a big smile on my face.
Even more than that, so that's a great scene. I think that's deserving of an award where he's going back in time and he's doing the fight and the jump between two. It honestly reminds me a little bit, just kind of like how the animation and how fluid it was going of Into the Spider-Verse and how fluid they made some of their fight scenes while kind of pulling things into it. I really liked that. I say that because I really love that movie, one of my favorites. And seeing that, great. Actually, that would be my wife's favorite fight scene as well. Yes. But you like Echo.
I love Echo, and I love Jace.
Okay.
I like Echo more, and it's mostly just because, like, even though he gone through some trauma, his father figure died. Crap hit the fan.
He's what you wanted Jinx to be.
Jinx betrayed him. Vi disappeared. Like, everyone he knew and loved is pretty much gone. Instead of going crazy, instead of running away, he literally built a small nation for himself. He brought people together and
not just himself. Yeah, he had to take care of the kids on the streets. He had to take care of the people who needed the help. Echo, great character. Up. Yeah, great character. Actually, and a little pull off to that, because Echo, again, he'd be in my top. He wouldn't be my second favorite, but he is definitely top 3, so he's third, you know. I will say that I loved him and his interaction with Heimerdinger, which would be my number 2. I love Heimerdinger. I love Heimerdinger as a champ, and I've loved his lore. I love how he is, and they did really well. His whole, guys, listen to the guy who's watched a nation die. This nation's going to die. And no one's listening to him, but he was just such this. They did really well. He sounded amazing, and I really liked his interactions with Echo, which is literally, I loved his whole, like, whenever he and Echo are under the bridge, and then he's looking over Echo's stuff, and he's like, "Hey, your fan blades, they're crooked. It's not made to fly up here." And Echo goes, "Well, it's not meant for up here. It's meant for the vents in the Undercity. That's why." And then he gets down there, he goes, "You built all this? Like, you never went to school and everything. You did all of this." He's like, "Yeah, you'd be surprised what you could do when you're fighting for your life." I love Echo because it gives him a new meaning of it. He is the father of progress, the father of Piltover, and he has just pretty much been able to just do whatever he needs to survive, but he's always had that luxury of survival and building. And Echo comes from a place where I had nothing, so I made it work. But I will. So my favorite.
You'll be surprised how poverty can make you creative.
And so my favorite fight scene pulls into my favorite character, and that would be Jace jumping into the battle. Jace and Vi versus the people. Him getting his hammer for the first time, and that hammer turns into a gun, and you get to see all of his moves and Vi's moves, and it's just this amazing brawl. It's actually that scene that I paused it, and I was like, I refuse to watch another anime with CG or with 3D that does not have this quality in their fight scenes. That was amazing. And I love Jace. I love his buildup of his character, because if you played the game before, in the lore you just know he's the hero of Piltover. And of course he feels bad about making weapons, but ultimately he's trying to make it right. And it shows nothing else about his lore. I mean, they've gotten it more in depth later, but when he first came out, he was just the pretty boy. In fact, of course, I paid money to the game. I got the Debonair Jace skin. So imagine my love for that scene when he's wearing the tuxedo, like Debonair Jace just coming in to wreck shop. Jace's whole just demeanor, like his whole build-up, you know? Everyone he knows. I loved him, and I loved his fall. Him going with Mel and doing what she wants to and playing the game because he thinks it's the right thing, because he's just young and impressionable.
Yes.
And I loved Jace's whole build-up to that. I love their pulling with him and Victor. You know, I love that, honestly, as bad as it is, that they pushed to the point he's losing everything, so he's considering killing himself. I mean, it's scary, but it's a real thing. The man just literally lost everything. It disgraced his family. Disgraced, you know, the family that was supposed to be patroning him, the Caitlyn's family, you know. And it's like, he considered it. That's depression. And I guess that's the other thing about this show that I really appreciate, and I won't go into much detail, but I will gladly with anyone, is the fact they've pulled in actual real things you would see. PTSD with Jinx, depression with Jace, you know. Honestly, as much as I didn't like it, just because, like, if you would just be open, I'd be remiss if I didn't say that it makes sense that the Vi wouldn't be trusting, because, like, she got betrayed a lot from people. She got information from Little Man. It turned out to be a trap for Vander. You know, she gets jumped a lot. She lives in the Undercity where you're not supposed to trust everybody. And even when she goes back, people sold her out to Stilco. Of course she wouldn't be that trusting. Same with Caitlyn, of course, because she deals with politics. But yeah, so my favorite fight scene is with Jace. He's my number one. Top 3 would be Jace, Heimerdinger, and of course Echo. Great. And there's nothing to say ill of anybody. Victor is an amazing... Oh, and I wanted to say this, for anyone listening, if you do go watch it, and if you have played the game, I've already given you some people, turn off subtitles. Because if you have played the game, subtitles will tell you who these people are before they become these people. Like, I was warned of this before watching it.
That's actually good to know.
Yeah,
I never played the game, so that didn't bother me.
So I was warned of that, and so this should be spoilers and stuff. So maybe we should put that in the description of this. Like, by the way, if you watch it and you used to play the game, do not watch it with subtitles. Do not. Just watch it, because that way, when the characters reveal themselves, it'll make more sense. And it's like, hey, that's this person. Hey, you know. But yeah, so that's my take on Arcane. Sorry.
Oh, you're good. You're good. I did like Jace. I like his character development.
Yeah. So if you had a top 3, you said it's Echo, Jace. Who would be your third?
Well, it's Echo because he did what needed to be done.
Yeah.
It's Jace because, similar to Echo, he saw, like, okay, I need to do something. Heimendinger, is that his name?
The father of progress?
I love the fact that, you know, even though he looked up to him, even though he respected him, when he betrayed him, he still had that guilt that he carried.
The good development.
Yeah, because that tells me, like, he didn't want to make these decisions, but he feels he has to make these decisions. He's taken emotion out of it to bring in logic. Now, whether that's good logic or bad logic, I don't know the full story, so I can't say right now. But I like that he was like, we need to protect these people. My third, man, I don't know if I have it. Like, I liked
Jinx, obviously.
Yeah, Jinx. Hands down, Jinx, number 3. Tell you what. I liked Milo, but then he got taken out, so really can't say him. I liked, what's the father's name? Vander. I liked Vander, but then, of course, you know, he got taken out. I don't have a third, I don't think, at the moment.
That's fair.
No, I think my third would be the woman Jace is with.
Mel, yeah.
Mel. And for the same reason, is she is looking for change. She is looking for, like, not for her sake, but she just wants the world to be better, and she wants to make sure that, you know, they take steps for it, because her biggest issue was the council is just stagnant. Yeah, they're playing a dirty game. Yes, we have to play a dirty game, but that doesn't mean we have to stay stagnant. And that was her issues. Like, and I think that's why she was pushing Jace, is like, we need to keep moving. So that would be my third.
I mean, I can respect it. Like I said, I mean, honestly, it's hard. I love Echo, though. I think he was a great character, especially older Echo, and they kept really well with his stuff. And very close to that would have been Silco, just because I think he's just one of the greatest villains out there, and then his whole development. I will say, for someone who has played the game, I like Mel because of her actual goal, which might be lost to people who don't know much about Noxus, but you definitely saw it with her interactions with her mother, and how her mom views compassion and mercy as weakness, because in Noxus it is literally a fighting nation. If you are not strong, you are not leader. If you don't have strength, either in numbers, in actual power, or in influence, you will not be powerful. I mean, that place is that is a seed bed. It's like Sparta over there, okay? And so her thing to her mother is, I'm trying to show you that mercy and compassion is not weakness. We have power.
Yes.
And we don't have this, you want to come over here because you need us because you aren't powerful enough. Like, she got upset. I love that. And I really liked her character towards the end. Because at first I was like, oh, you just messing with my main man, Jace, but yeah.
And I'll say, towards the end is where I really started to like her.
Yeah. And I think it was great. But so those are our favorites and stuff. But now we got to talk about beautiful tree, beautiful scenery, flowers blooming. Well, let's look at the roots of this, which is League of Legends.
Yeah. So Jeremiah asked me before I was gonna watch this, that if I got done with it, would it make me want to play the game?
Yes.
I will say a part of me did be like, yeah, I mean, I had friends be like, hey, play this game, it's a great game. like for years, and watching that, I'm like, okay, I would be interested in playing the game. Now, I'm not like I'm going to play the game, but I would be interested. But from what Jeremiah's told me, there's, back and forth on whether people should. Newcomers like me should. So if I was, to be like, hey, Jeremiah, you know what, man? I want to play League of Legends. Especially after watching this show, and I'm going to take all my knowledge based on this show. I'm just going to go in the community. What you got for me?
Well, so I'm gonna actually take this back to a friend of mine who still plays more actively than I do. I play when I can. I didn't play any of all last season. I just, even with COVID, it's like, I got other things to play, I don't want to go back to that community. I will tell you this right now. When we've had our discussions previously, we've talked about what is the most toxic gaming community out there. I say it's League of Legends. I've heard Smash, I've heard Call of Duty, I've heard Fortnite, but nothing meets that cesspool feeling like League of Legends community. And I'm going to tell you right now, especially rank is horrible, but even in normal pubs, like, you're just trying to go in and play with some people, even some friends, and get flamed in all chat.
And we've had this talk about toxic communities before. I never played League of Legends. I was in the FGC community for the longest before I stopped playing, and that was kind of toxic. Of course, we talked about card games and, people being toxic in card games. But I will say, everyone who I've talked to besides you have brought up that League of Legends has to be one of the most toxic communities out there.
So I actually wanted to take a screenshot of a game I had recently because I decided to jump on. I decided to play. But at this point in my life, I'm not going for the little meta games. I'm not trying to do that. I'm just trying to play a game. So I picked Vi. Arcane just came out, and I took her mid. And if you play the game, you should know, normally you wouldn't. But I would make the argument Vi is actually a pretty good counter to a lot of assassins. Great bruiser. So my thing is, okay, if they're running an assassin, this will work out. Mind you, this is normal buffs, blind pick, so that means there can be, there's no bans. There can be a mirror match. Like, if I pick Vi and someone else picks Vi, even if she's in another lane, but that's too... in this game, there's either blind pick or there's the ranked queue or the pretty much draft, where everyone picks... every person gets to pick a champion to ban. And then, so 10 champs get banned, and then everyone picks, but once a champ gets... Like, it's there's a turn base, so the first person over here picks, then two people, one, and... you can't have the same champ on two teams. So once they're taken from the pool, that's it. And you kind of build around it. It's pretty cool. So I decided to go in and play. I went up against a Rise. Didn't expect to do well against him, but he was missing a bunch of his skill shots. So I was beating him. And I'm building full power. But my thing is, if I don't die, this is not meta. And people will know that. Like, no. I mean, I'm just trying to have fun. We had a Master Yi up top. Not me, the enemy team. Who was not... We had a Master Yi too, actually. We had a Master Yi in the jungle. But a Master Yi up top. Who apparently wasn't happy with the fact that Rise kept dying to me because it kept missing. I mean, it's, And so, about... What time is this? 14 minutes and 15 seconds of the game. Master Yi does an all chat to me. Vi, myself. How'd you like going up against an autistic mid laner? And that pretty much, to me, kind of just sums up... That's not the worst thing he put. Actually, we all report him at the end because he was making racist remarks, which we won't bring up on this. But my thing is, that was my first game back in like 2 years in a normal game. Just normal. Just going in, messing around in a solo queue. Wow.
Yeah, that...
And this guy was so annoying. This guy was just... And a lot of people say, well, that's just Yi players. And it's like... And I guess that's my argument to anybody out there. And I'll get to that. So my thing is, if you watched Arcane, and then you say, man, I want to go play this game, the game itself is pretty fun. If you like strategy and stuff, it's not bad. I'd say to go to... If you like Command and Conquer, the top-down strat type thing, and you want to take one champ and build it up, it's actually a really fun game. There's a lot of good mechanics to it. Maps are awesome. But maps. Yeah, there's only one. But well, there's ARAM too. But you'll even get that toxicity in ARAM. We won't talk about it. We'll just talk about the core game. You want to go play? Go do your thing, man. But you're going to be disappointed. You're not going to get the same feel. Going into this game after watching Arcane is like seeing any of the cinematics for Overwatch and then expecting that game to be anywhere near as in depth as the... It's beautiful, but it's not. It's ultimately just people in there. It's a massive online arena, okay? But the toxicity of this game is so bad to me that no, I don't want people to go into it and play it and then be like, this is horrible. It's not a bad game. The community makes it bad, and the community taints it. That's why I say it's toxic roots on a beautiful tree. Arcane itself is a beautiful flower that we're seeing on the branches, but the roots are pretty bad, and it's destroying everything. And I feel like that's just going to be what it is. That's my take on it.
So, like, with me, I hear that, and that is pretty toxic. Like, I mean, we both played online shooters. We played COD. You played Gears.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I played Fighters, where, you know, you're going to tournaments and people are talking crap about you while you're playing the game. You know, spectators sitting behind you just talking crap about you. So, like, I'm used to toxicness. But there's something about people feeling like they're big and tough on the keyboard. Like, when you go to the FGC, the people that are talking mess are usually talking it in a joking way. And the ones that aren't, you know, are usually people that, you know, are just ready to fight regardless. You know, these are people that are going to talk mess behind the keyboard or in the seats, or like, what they're going to talk mess wherever. They're just looking for a fight. But you know those gamers that will talk mess over a keyboard because they know nothing's going to happen to them.
Keyboard warriors.
And those are like the most annoying, toxic people I can imagine. Because you know darn well if you got squared up with, you would back down.
Mm-hmm. I guess my duality to it is this. I watch Salty Smash to see the people who can't take it.
Yeah.
Like, it's just a joke. It's just a game. It's just a platformer. I watch Salty Smash because it's funny. And it's like, guy, I mean, I'm sure money might be on the line here, but come on now. But for League, I specifically watch for the toxic gamers themselves. Even if they're doing well. My thing is, like, there's no reason to talk here. And I actually have talked to my friends who play a lot. A lot of them have given me reasons like, well, I just feel like I need to say something. It helps me.
Fight for the little guy, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're the toxic gamer.
Oh,
they're the ones. They're the ones who are coming in like, you are so bad, Malzahar. Like, God, can you not hit a Q? It's literally a clicking point. It's like point and click. It's like, you didn't have to say any of that. You know what you could have done? Like, literally anything else. You could have went and got yourself a drink of water back in Fountain because he's doing so bad. Came back and it's the same game. You know, like it. So I don't agree with that. And my second point too is what I started to bring up earlier is this. What I've been hearing when I talked to one of my friends and I told him, yeah, I would tell people do not play this game if you liked Arcane. And his response was, that is ignorance. They should. I'm saying you should not play the game just because it might be a little toxic. If Arcane's that good, you should try to play. I was like, yes, that was the whole point. I mean, Tencent and Riot are trying to get you into the game by making this media. Yes, they make money that way, but it's still not good. To which he responds, and yeah, the only issue you have with it is the toxic chat, really, and the player base. But they're taking away all chat next season. And I've been hearing that a lot, actually, when I give my opinion out there, and people just tell me, well, just mute it. Just mute all. Mute all. Don't even talk to your teammates. Just mute everybody. You don't got to listen to them. You got to see what they're typing. You can't mute pings. People can ping all day long.
Yeah.
You can still be kind of annoying that way, but yeah, you don't have to talk to them. To which I have responded in every case the same way. So some of you that may be listening have seen me and talk like in some of our local stuff. It's like, I'm going to let you know right now. If you tell me that the best thing about this game is that you can mute everybody, and that the way to fix it is to mute the whole community, says a lot about that community that I want to be a part of. I would never want to ask anybody for advice. Why would I do that? Like, come on, it's not that harsh. It's a Garen. You know, it's like, you run it this way. Why did you build that? It's like, if you have to mute your team because you're going to get flamed by everybody. They're going to no, that's not a good community.
I feel there's like a dual reality or dual issue here, because I think it was you who told me you were talking to someone, I don't know who you were talking to, they were like, no, it's good that people are coming, we shouldn't deteriorate them from coming. But then said person goes on the chat and then gets on people because they only came after just watching the show.
Yes. Okay, so yeah, they we want more people into here, and I was talking to a friend of mine, and he was just like, we need to get people into this. This was the whole point. Let it happen. We shouldn't deter people from that. You shouldn't be doing that. They should want to come in here. And then the second game, and I'm just watching him. He streams and stuff like that. I'm just watching him, and I see him start typing in. It's like, I bet you're here. Just you're only playing Jace because you saw Pretty Boy in Arcane. It's like, so you're exactly what I'm trying to protect these little pollitos from. I want to keep them away from you. They don't need that. That's the bad seed. I don't want them to eat the bad seed.
So I guess for me, and to kind of wrap this up. Yeah. Is the community isn't going to take me away from playing the game. I will say I know League of Legends, and I could be wrong, but it feels like they have been hurting as far as popularity and attendance in their game, which is why I feel they are making strides to make the community better. Because let's face it, this isn't just an issue that's been going on the past year.
No.
This issue's been going on long.
They've tried many things in the game, from the tribunal to a very heavy report system that's had some issues. They have done so much to try and incorporating the I guess the merits you get at the end of the game. You can either say someone's honorable, friendly, knowledgeable, and getting a lot of those gave you a lot of things, and it was really nice. These things do work. They promote being nice, but sadly, it couldn't dilute the poison that is toxic ranked players, and I will say silver to gold players mostly, but yeah.
And my thing is them going to an all-mute format, to me, is them kind of like, okay, we're desperate here. Because they look at other games, and when League of Legends first came out, and when I feel it was the height of its popularity, and I could be wrong, was when there wasn't really much other competitive gaming. You had fighting games, but fighting, to me, the FGC kind of already have their own little area. To me, they were just always in the corner, sadly. You had Counter-Strike and Gears, Halo, and then League of Legends for competitive gaming. But now you got Fortnite, you got Apex.
So League of Legends wasn't the first MOBA.
No, but I feel like it helped.
Oh yeah,
and
that could be its own topic to begin with. So why not Dota? What happened to Dota? Because you would think they would have taken over since they had their world championships before. They had, they were in it and stuff. But it just comes down to which one was free at the time. Let's be fair. League of Legends free, open to everybody. I can download it and play right now. Let's go. But anyway, getting off that, my thing is, League has known about its issue for a while, because any I guess following will have a toxic base. Anything that promotes chat. That's why I always say, the best shooter out there, Splatoon. Not a sponsor, but everyone should play the original Splatoon. We want to know why? Because there was no all chat. That was one of the best shooters out there, because you can't really teabag on people. Very, very limited, but ultimately you're just playing a game. You move your squids and you paint the city while you're taking them out with more paint. It is literally, there's no all chat, man. There's just, to me, that's what made that one of the best. And so, yes, I agree with it, but my thing is, if that's where it is, it's more like a parent saying, okay, fine, I tried to let y'all all have bikes, and you all keep trying to run over each other. Now we're just going to take the bikes away.
And that's kind of how I feel like they tried to give slaps on the wrist because the game was still popular, still doing great. But then people were like, okay, you know what? I'm tired of this toxic community. There's other free games to play now. We're not just, stuck on LOL. So let's venture out. And the success of these other free games, I feel, hurt League of Legends, to where League has now come to the point okay, we really gotta do something now.
I agree. The only competitor League had back in the day would have been Smite with high res. Smite came out with their little alpha to beta. You could buy in. It was really fun. Little over the shoulder third party MOBA. Still really fun. But high res doesn't know how to close out a game, so they didn't have any fears. And like they always start something amazing, and they just drop the ball. So they didn't have to worry too much about that. League of Legends ran it for the longest time. But the community itself is what first turned people away. I will stand by because I was one of the people who were there like, guys, we don't have to be this way. Yeah. I was that League player who was like, hey, I like playing, and ranking's fun, sure, but and I will tell you this right now, I've only done rank in like team settings, so 5-man, 3-man. As for solo rank, no, I don't want to do that. I will tell you that right now. I never did it because I watched so many of my friends do it, and they're completely different people, and they're just annoying. They just get really toxic. And then I was getting a lot of my friends, my wife and her friends into it. We actually had a good like 12 or 13 people who all wanted to play, so we'd have 10 at a time and whoever can come in. And almost all of them left because they can't stand 2 people in particular in the group. Not myself, thankfully. I would always have to be against these 2.
Yeah.
Because they're just toxic. They can't stand it. Because they're running the meta champs. How dare a Jace in the mid lane lose to a Teemo, but you're just getting outplayed? It just happens.
How dare you try to have fun?
Exactly. How dare you?
But let's wrap this up, guys. We appreciate y'all listening. Let us know what y'all think. Usually with this, it's usually listen only, but I am going to upload this on our YouTube. So if you haven't checked out our YouTube, please do. Dude, let's chat. Give us a subscribe, help us grow. We would appreciate it. If y'all have any suggestions, y'all have any disagreements or agreements, catch us on Instagram at Duelist Chat, Twitter on Duelist Chat, and on TikTok at Duelist Chat, as well as our YouTube. But other than that, any final words?
Hey, just like you said, if you have any other topics you'd want to hear about, hit up Jacob, DLC. They are an amazing group, I'm just a third-party person who comes in every once in a while to tell them they're wrong. So
he's an honorable member right now.
Let me tell you.
I'm saying we'll try to do dude lunch chattings at least once a month. If it gets pretty popular, which our last episode got pretty good listen, so that was good. We might try to do it twice a month, but I'm just gonna say we'll probably just do it once a month for now. But other than that, guys, y'all be safe and enjoy.
DLC.